You ever have somebody plant a finger in the middle of your chest like a doorbell and tell you to get off your own porch while you're literally holding the deed with your name on it? That was my welcome to Cedar Glass Lake. I'd owned that place all of, 72 hours, and here's this lady in a tennis skirt and a pastel blazer, looking like she's about to host a lemonade stand for the Supreme Court, telling me I'm trespassing, pushing me backwards like she personally owns the air I'm breathing. Moving trucks still idling out front, my guys halfway down the ramp with my couch, all of them frozen, watching, coffee mug in my left hand, deed in the right, just standing there, wondering if I'd accidentally wandered into some weird improv show no one told me about. I try to stay calm. I do, but she snatches the deed, tries to tear it in half. Thank God I laminated that thing. Just a little paranoid, sure. Then throws it down, stomps on it with these white heels, each stomp like a gavel. This is community property. You're trespassing. Behind her, on the dock, I see yoga mats lined up like little pastel flags. 15 people twisted up in poses, some guy in linen tapping a singing bowl, all of it happening on my dock. That's when she smiles. This smile like she's the director and I'm ruining her play, and tells me I'm interrupting her sunrise meditation session. Let me back up a sec. My name's Jack Mercer. 3 days before all this, I thought I was finally leaving the chaos behind. I'd spent most of the past year buried in courtrooms. Whistleblower, farm scheme out of Chicago, long story, and I came to Willow Bend Shores because the listing promised quiet cove, good fishing, friendly neighbors. Didn't say a word about Lydia Harrow, self-appointed queen of Willow Bend, who believed every inch of shoreline belonged to her if she just glared hard enough. From the truck, Frank, my lead mover, shouts, "We got a work order here, right address, right name. Are we unloading or not?" Lydia spins around, hair frozen in place with so much spray I'm pretty sure it's bulletproof. "You unload one box, and I'll have you all arrested for theft." She whips out her phone like it's a weapon, dials 911 real slow for show, and tells the dispatcher there's a violent man with accomplices refusing to leave community wellness space, possibly armed. I look down at my shirt, old Northwestern tee, ketchup stain from a hot dog the day before, then at my world's okayest fisherman mug. For the record, that's not considered a weapon anywhere in Ohio. So I start recording, because in Pine County, one-party consent isn't just legal, it's common sense. I point to the dock. "Those people, are they paying you to be here?" "You don't have standing to ask," she snaps. But then a woman on the dock shouts, "They're paying $500, $800 if you want the crystal thing at sunrise." And Lydia's face turns a color I've never seen on a human being. "Ray," she barks, "you signed a confidentiality clause." Ray just shrugs. "My mom's an oncologist. She thinks your lake mineral therapy is just making people sit in water and hope." That's when Mrs. Collier, silver hair, eyes like steel, walker with tennis balls on the legs, shuffles up and stares Lydia down. "This young man has done everything by the book," she says. "You're not taking another house from this street." Turns out Mrs. Collier has seen 37 winters and just as many HOA presidents, none as destructive as Lydia. Suddenly, sirens. 2 cruisers roll up. Officer Lane, late 20s, gets out. Real polite. The kind of polite you use with an aunt who's a nightmare, but gives you Christmas money. "Morning, Miss Harrow," he says, like they're friends. My stomach drops. Lydia doesn't miss a beat. This man broke into the Whitaker property. He's dangerous. I hand over my license and the deed. Lane barely glances, but Sergeant Ruiz, the older officer, reads every line, runs her thumb over the county seal. She looks at Lydia and says, "Ma'am, where's your authority to remove a titled owner from private property?" Lydia produces a folder from her purse, calls it the HOA charter. I didn't even have to hold it to know it was all clip art and Comic Sans. That charter expired in 2019. A guy in a robe yells from 2 doors down, Darren Holt, engineer, record keeper, apparently waiting his whole life for this cue. "You never got it renewed. I've been asking for the books for 2 years. Lydia's hissing, "You're disrupting neighborhood harmony." I'm saying, "You're running an unlicensed wellness business on property you don't own. You're charging people to stand on my dock." She doesn't answer because my phone's buzzing. And for the first time that morning, I start to feel my shoulders loosen. Ruiz says I'm not under arrest, so I make a call. The mayor, the feds, the folks with jackets full of acronyms. I say, code 9 at Cedar Glass. Harrow. Immediate. 2 minutes later, 3 black SUVs pull up, doors open in sync, windbreakers, earpieces. And then out steps Mayor Eli McKenna himself, 63, still built like a linebacker. Walks right up to Lane, says, "Release Mr. Mercer." Now. Shows a document with more watermarks than Niagara Falls. This property is under the jurisdiction of the United States Marshal Service, leased as a safe residence. Impeding occupancy is a federal crime. He doesn't need to raise his voice. The law does it for him. You could hear the air change. Movers, yoga crowd. Even the lake seemed to ripple a little less. Lydia tries to laugh it off, starts live streaming. Beautiful souls, the government is trying to silence our healing. McKenna steps right into her shot, says, "Ma'am, you're live streaming evidence of consumer fraud. Please, continue." Ray cracks up, Lane steps back. Ruiz looks like someone just lifted a piano off her chest. Then an Uber pulls up, and out stumbles a man in a suit that's seen better days. Ankle monitor blinking, tie limp. "Graham." Lydia breathes, every syllable begging. "Tell them." He just looks tired. "What?" "That I'm a former judge who lost his seat for taking bribes. That my wife runs a fake medical spa, a fake HOA, and a gambling boat." FBI agent Patel? "Yeah, the jackets brought friends," raises an eyebrow. "Gambling boat." Graham sighs. 12 miles out at dusk, roulette, cash only. "I told her it would end like this." "You're drunk," Lydia snaps. "I'm done," he says, finally sounding free. "Done co-signing your delusions." Mrs. Collier leans over and whispers to me, "Do you suppose her Tesla will save her or betray her?" She didn't have to wait long. Lydia bolts for her car, but the Tesla's smarter than its owner. It politely parks itself, and when she cracks the window to scream, Agent Patel opens the door like he's reaching for a casserole. "Lydia Harrow, you're being detained while we sort this out." Sort this out turns into arrested quick. They sweep my house, find a wall menu in the guest room. Chakra alignment $300. Past life regression $1,000. Lake mineral infusion $1,500. In the fridge, bags of saline with homemade labels. On the shelf, sugar pills, amber bottles, promises in 12-point font that cure everything but honesty. Locked files with people's medical info, bank ledgers with cash that never met the IRS. Under my name, a note. Increase pressure until he breaks or leaves. And then the Coast Guard calls from the marina. Hidden compartments in a 42-foot cruiser, roulette wheel, casino chips, ledgers with names and dollar amounts that would make Vegas blush. Sergeant Ruiz shakes her head. "That's not a wellness retreat. That's a casino." The neighbors start trickling out. Darren brings folders, threat letters, photos of violations. A woman with her arm in a sling, Ava, says Lydia shut off their water for asking where dues went. A young couple, the Renfros, say they sold to Lydia's developer buddy at a loss after the daily fines outpaced their mortgage. Then Mrs. Collier, voice small but sharp. "There was Mr. Lang, 71, walked the lake every morning. She papered his door with violations, told him he'd lose the house. He had a heart attack 2 weeks later. You could feel the air freeze." Ree steps up, cheeks blazing. "I recorded her telling a woman to skip chemo. I'll give you everything." She means it. Media vans arrive like mosquitoes after rain. Mayor McKenna gives a tight statement. Ongoing investigation, federal partners, patient victims. The neighbors finally get their breath back and start telling their stories. 3 years of fear, 4th of July parties that turned into violations. Graham, in a move that's half confession, half reckoning, turns to the cameras. "I chose her power over my oath. Don't make my mistake." By late afternoon, the charges sound like a bad grocery list. Wire fraud, tax evasion, practicing medicine without a license, money laundering, illegal gambling, real estate fraud, criminal conspiracy. The state adds negligent homicide for Mr. Lang if the data lines up. Bail denied. Lydia trades her tennis gear for County Orange. Irony is alive and well. Here's what nobody tells you. After the adrenaline, there's just quiet. Not peace, quiet. You sweep glass off a porch that never broke. You learn your neighbors' names. The Whitakers, who'd sold under pressure, bring by a pie. Half apology, half welcome. McKenna tells them restitution is coming, assets frozen. There's a way back. 3 months later, I'm in court again. The the story coming out under oath. Replays the recording. Darren lays out the ledgers. Ruiz testifies about the deed. I'm called up. Voice steady until they show that little note. Increase pressure until he breaks. I laugh. A real, short laugh. Because sometimes the villain hands you the punchline. 93 minutes of jury deliberation. Guilty on everything. The federal judge hands down 12 years. State adds 8 more. Lydia gets 20. Graham takes 5. Then moves to Florida to help sue HOAs for a living. The county auditor starts writing checks to homeowners for dues paid to a ghost HOA. Properties sold under duress get clawed back and offered to the original owners at the price they were forced to sell. The first Sunday without her shadow, we hold a potluck. You can hear the neighborhood exhale. No more HOA, just a group text, a spreadsheet, and a Saturday crew fixing dock boards. We put up a sign at the entrance. Willow Bend Shores, neighbors first, rules second. No one's measured anybody's grass since. They even named a law after Mr. Lang, the Lang Act. Open books for associations, bans fines for curtains, caps penalties, makes it illegal to threaten utility shutoff for violations. Darren runs for city council on one promise: sunlight. Wins in a walk. Me? I found what I didn't even know I was looking for. Early mornings, I sit on the dock with my okayest fisherman mug, listen to the loons. If Mrs. Collier wanders by, I brew a second cup and we watch the lake stitch itself into the sky. Sometimes I help families 3 states away. What paper to ask for, what questions to pose, how to spot when wellness or community standards are just weapons. McKenna jokes I'm an accidental HOA expert. I tell him I'm just a retired guy with a good porch and a better memory. There's a plaque by the little garden we replanted. Simple, bronze, no flourish, never again. Kids fish off the same boards that used to hold crystal grids. Teenagers steal kisses under the string lights we put up last fall. The dock belongs to all of us and none of us, which is exactly how docks like it. Sometimes, late at night, I think about that morning, the stomped deed, the cops' shrug, the black SUVs, the way a quiet community finally stood tall. Folks ask if the mayor set a trap. I tell them the trap was always there, built from greed, arrogance, and the belief no one would fight back. All Eli did was open the door. So here's my question for you, because I know some of you are living with your own Lydia. Where's the line between community and control, between standards and stalking, between wellness and outright harm? If you'd been on my porch that morning, would you have stood your ground, or kept the peace and paid the fine? Drop your take below. Where do you draw the line? When does an HOA help, and when does it hurt? What does justice look like where you live? Share this with the neighbor who needs a little courage. And if you've got a story that needs daylight, send it my way. We'll drag it into the sun together and see what survives.